Sup, Nerdmigos? I'm the Jive talking nerd John Norgrove, and this is Nerd Jive, your tri-weekly nerdy news network. It's Wednesday, December 7th. Let's get started. First up, old Soyuz issues. On December 1st, the Progress spacecraft, filled with 2.6 tons of food, fuel, and other supplies for the International Space Station, lifted off from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. And although the first and second stages went off without a hitch, approximately 6 minutes into the launch, there was a third stage error, and the spacecraft was observed exploding in the sky. Roscosmos, the Russian form of NASA, and NASA have given very little information about the incident, but sources say that the cause was a faulty third stage engine ignition. The Progress spacecraft was launched in an old-style Soyuz U-type craft, which is in the process of being replaced with the current and more modern Soyuz FG-type class, which is what we're currently using to send astronauts to the International Space Station. However, both types of craft use the same third-stage rocket engine, the liquid kerosene-fueled RD-0110. Having looked into this engine, I wanted to share a little information with you about it. This engine was developed in the 70s to address a high-frequency instability during the startup of its 1960s predecessors, the RD-0107 and 0108. This newer engine is a vector-controlled, 4-chamber, gas generator cycle, liquid-fueled rocket engine with a thrust output of 298 kilonewtons and a burn time of 250 seconds. It not only uses its own cryogenic fuel to cool the engine, but it also has a pre-burner that spins the turbopumps necessary to pump the liquid kerosene and the liquid oxygen into its primary combustion chamber. What that means is that we pump a small amount of the fuel into a tiny pre-combustion chamber set above the primary combustion chamber. And we use this explosion with turbines to spin the pumps fast enough to be able to pump the fuel into the primary combustion chamber. Because when you combust these sort of liquid fuels, you need to have not only an incredible amount of heat, but also an incredible amount of pressure. Those pumps need to spin very quickly. And having them spun with electric motors or some sort of other device is less efficient than pre-burning some of that fuel. The exhaust from that pre-burner is then either used, in this case, for 3 smaller vector thrusters on the outside of the engine, or is simply pumped back into the primary combustion chamber with a one-directional valve or some sort of a booster to be able to get it up to speed. This is an immensely complex piece of engineering that has effectively been in service since the 60s, with very little in the direction of improvements over time. All this being said, it's a well-made engine, and has proven its usefulness time and time again in modern spaceflight. I don't know about you, but I've always been interested in these complex systems that, when you think about it, when you look at it in animation on a screen, or you see one in real life, it's insanity to think that somebody came up with that, to send a man into space. Those are the things that really get me. You know, it's beautiful to look at something like that, something so complex and so evolved from just a simple, put these two chemicals together and it's going to explode out the tail end. Now we have all these elaborate systems. It's fascinating to see not only the device, but to be able to see how it evolved into that device. Alright. Next up, going green with Google. Now, Google has recently announced that for 2017, it will power its entire global infrastructure with renewable energy. Sort of. Google intends to power its data centers and offices around the globe with both solar and wind energy. Mind you, that's a 2,600 megawatt power bill. Alright? But let's explain how they're going to do this and the sort of part about them doing this. Since the nature of the power grid doesn't really allow for direct energy consumption. You don't get to choose, I want to use these solar panels and no energy from this coal-burning plant. All right. That type of power distribution just doesn't really work. Google plans to pay for enough units to account for its consumption in a carbon offsetting program. In this year, it's estimated that 44% of Google's consumption came from renewable sources. All this being said, it's not solely a green move. All right, Google is doing this on the back of very good business policy. So the cost of renewable energy sources is plummeting right now, and getting in early has always been good business. All right, wind energy is down 60%, and solar down 80% in cost over the last 8 years. Over the last 6 years, as well as many countries around the world building new renewable energy programs. This is definitely a step in the right direction for big businesses like Google. And every time these giants move towards this type of energy, it becomes easier and cheaper for us, the little people, to access it. Imagine a day when our houses generate all of the electricity that they need to consume, and any excess is sold back to the grid. All right. This type of self-reliance, it's similar to having a garden in your backyard or buying from a local market. It keeps things close together. This type of self-reliance does not only save you money, but makes the world and your communities better and stronger. I'm happy to hear that Google's doing this, and it will be interesting to see if Google succeeds in 100% renewable energy for 2017, what other companies are going to do to try to get into the game. Next up, the consumption of Pebble. So, sad news for all of us that wear Pebble devices. The company's gonna be no more. Fitbit just acquired Pebble for the sum of somewhere between $34 and $40 million, as is being reported. And Pebble will stop manufacturing and selling all of its products. It's being reported that Fitbit acquired specific assets, including key staff members, software, and firmware development. Bloomberg reported that 40% of Pebble's employees will be given the opportunity to work for Fitbit. Fitbit is saying it will continue to support current Pebble devices, but future support will be affected by this. Also, when it comes to the Pebble Time 2, the Pebble Core, and the Pebble Time Round from Kickstarter, they will not go into final production. This means that if you have already received yours, that's fine, keep it. But if you have not received it, you will not be receiving one. Those people that have not received them will be getting a refund. This refunding system is going to be going through Kickstarter, though. So it's estimated that those refunds won't really go into effect until sometime around March of 2017. As a Pebble user, I love this device. And the interface is fantastic. And I'm terribly sad to see them go. But my hopes and best wishes go out to the employees of Pebble, that they are either able to make it through this transition or find other work. They've produced fantastic products, and it's sad to see this company go. It proved that you could do good business through Kickstarter, and you could make a high-quality product at an affordable price point. But as somebody who has used Fitbit products before, it will be interesting to see where Fitbit goes with this technology and these minds in place. What improvements Fitbit will make. I've had 3 different Fitbit devices, and I like them. They work, they're good. They weren't necessarily smart devices as it was. They were more fitness-centric than texting and emails and all the other smartwatch controlling your camera and your music and things like that. But it's going to be interesting to see what Fitbit does with this. What I would like to see is some sort of a combination of the 2 products. Essentially a Pebble, but a little bit more fitness-oriented. Last up, real night vision glasses. Scientists at Australian National University have created a new type of night vision sensor. They designed a nanocrystal that turns darkness into visible light, with a lens 500 times thinner than that of a human hair. This nanocrystal structure could be fitted onto an ultra-thin film and applied to normal eyewear. This means that if they can simplify production, you could make a pair of glasses into night vision glasses. You could apply a thin film onto it, and that's all it would take. It's also suggested that this nanocrystal could be used in anti-counterfeiting bills, as well as imaging and maybe even holograms. This field of nanophotonics is very new, but making promising leaps in technology. Lastly, I wanted to read to you the description from their paper on this nanocrystal. While I was doing a little research on this to try to understand it, I read this brief description. It's a couple of sentences long, and I thought I had to read it to you guys so you could experience just utter and complete confusion for people who speak a significantly more advanced form of our language. Alright, here goes. Here we demonstrate dielectric aluminum gallium arsenide nano antennas for efficient second harmonic generations, enabling the control of both directionality and polarization of nonlinear emissions. This is enabled by a specialized semiconductor nanofabrication of high-quality aluminum gallium arsenide nanostructures embedded in optically transparent low-index material, thus allowing for simultaneous forward and backward nonlinear emissions. When I first heard that, I truly did not understand what they were talking about. And even now, I'm still a little confused. I like to think myself a smart person, but I really only get about 10% of what I just read to you guys. Either way, that's awesome. There could be a time, if they can take this technology to a production level, where if you have difficulty driving at night, you just have to wear a pair of glasses. Where soldiers in the field don't have a large, cumbersome binocular, but just a pair of lenses that they snap down. If you're working on your house and have to crawl underneath, or your power goes out, you just snap a pair of lenses on, or snap a pair of lenses down, and all of a sudden you can see in the night. How awesome is that? That something like that can even happen. And I don't at all understand how this works. It has something to do with the specific nanostructure, bringing light in and then harmonically generating more light or something. It's very, it's not my thing. You would have to ask somebody significantly more important than me. But I have the link to the article that I first discovered this on, as well as a link to their paper down below. So if you're interested in this or it intrigues you in the slightest, go read their paper. Even if you don't understand all of it, I've always found it useful to read these scientific papers, because you read something and then what's this nanoscale superconductor? And so you look that up, and then how do we manufacture things this way? And you move down this stream of consciousness on the internet, and it just fills you with knowledge. It's fantastic. All right, that was the news for today. I'm feeling terribly ill and don't want to waste any more of your guys' time. I can barely talk, and I imagine I sound insane. But I'm John Norgrove. This has been Nerd Jive. If you're interested in this, please like, subscribe. If you have input, comment down below. If these interested you at all, or you find new articles, comment on them down below. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. Follow me on Twitter. Tweet at me. Hit me up on Facebook. Let me know if you find something interesting. I'm trying to get into doing some deep dives where we talk about one subject and real newscaster style dive into it, reading papers and that kind of stuff. So if you have a subject that you're interested in, let me know down below and we can see what we can do about it. I would like to talk more about this kind of stuff, but, I can only find and consume so much media in a day. So the more eyes I have looking at it, the more interesting the stories will have. So, again, I'm John Norgrove. This has been Nerd Jive. Stay nerdy.